Hey everyone, my name is Wedge and welcome to Amonkhet preview season. For the next 2 weeks, we're going crazy over new preview cards, new mechanics, new stories, new gods, new everything. You need spoiler info, we got that in spades. So sit back and relax as we explore Amonkhet together. This is gonna be good. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, remember to hit that like button, helps out a lot. Anointer Priest is 2 mana for a 1/3 human cleric. Whenever a creature token enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. It also has Embalm for 4 mana, which means that you can exile the card from your graveyard and get a token copy of the Priest. I normally wouldn't talk about commons like this, but I can't be the only one who thinks Embalm is just insane and limited, right? It's legit 2 cards in 1. The real card, then the token. Even something small like this, tons of value. I love Embalm, it's a stupidly powerful mechanic, I can't wait to see more of it. We're looking at a new common cycle of cartouches. Cartouche of Solidarity is 1 white mana for an enchantment or a cartouche. Enchant creature you control. When the cartouche enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 warrior token with vigilance. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has first strike. New aura subtype, very cool, I can get behind that. I'm interested to see what will take advantage of this new subtype because it doesn't really make sense to add one if there isn't something that's going to use it. Very interesting indeed. We'll have to wait to see more, but for only 1 white mana, you get a 1/1 with vigilance and a +1/+1 buff and first strike to a creature, so it's actually not that bad. Jayru's Resolve is 1 white mana for an instant. Untap target creature, prevent all damage that would be dealt to it this turn. It also has cycling for 2 generic mana. This is actually quite strong for a common. Talk about combat trick dumpstering your opponent. By untapping your biggest creature and making it indestructible, you're removing a lot of options your opponents have. And for a single mana, and it has cycling in case you don't need it, and it helps you untap exert creatures, it may not seem like much, and yeah, I get that it's just a common, but it's a good common. Like, really good. Also, who is this Jayru guy? Seems pretty baller to me. Inoketra's Name is 2 mana for an instant. Zombies you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Oh man, oh boy, oh ladies and gentlemen. Zombie support is all up in Amonkhet, and it's on white cards, white zombies. Do we have enough zombies in every color now? Can we easily make a rainbow zombie deck? Okay, that's going on the list. Rainbow zombie commander deck. Totally happening. Anyways, this is a pretty sick limited powerhouse. If you're running a bunch of zombies or Embalm or just need a strong instant speed anthem effect at a decent cost, this has your back. I know I'm going to be a broken record in this video, I can already tell, but limited. This is a thing. It's pretty strong for only 2 mana at instant speed. I'd consider it. Trial of Knowledge is 4 mana for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards, then discard a card. When a cartouche enters the battlefield under your control, return the trial to its owner's hand. Oh, well, here we go. This is how we're going to use the new aura subtype. So these trials bring a powerful ability for a really expensive cost, it seems. Then if you play a cartouche, you get the card back and can cast it again. It's a relatively simple interaction, but could be fun and limited. I like it. I'm interested to see the other trials and cartouches before I really make my decision. New mechanic alert. Destined is 1 of anything and 1 black for an instant. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. Lead is 3 of anything and 1 green for a sorcery. All creatures able to block target creature this turn do so. Lead also has Aftermath. Cast this spell only from your graveyard, then exile it. So basically what we're looking at is a card template Nightmare that gives you 1 spell when you cast it from your hand, then you gain access to a completely different spell when it's in your graveyard. This isn't super exciting as a card, but let's take a second to talk about this templating. My goodness, this looks weird as all heck. I mean, symmetry is out the window, just for real here. I have to turn my head sideways, already have some neck pain. And just like with the invocations, the art is smaller than it should be. I can't say I'm a fan. I understand why they did it and I get the premise, but I don't like smaller artwork, and I don't like having to turn the card to read it. Remember those Kamigawa legends? Those didn't do very well for a reason, I don't know. Oh boy, Nest of Scarabs is 3 mana for an enchantment. Whenever you put 1 or more -1/-1 counters on a creature, create that many 1/1 black insect creature tokens. Alright people, this is serious business. -1/-1 counters are a real thing, an actual theme in the set, which means that Winding Constrictor just got way more dangerous for everyone involved. The stakes have never been this high, but I can tell you right now, -1/-1 counters are a nightmare to deal with, especially when they're supported well. What's important to remember is that -1/-1 counters and +1/+1 counters cancel each other out, which means that Rishkar you're tapping for a bunch of mana might not be that way for long if the -1/-1 counter removes the only +1/+1 counter on him. Things are getting nasty up in here. On-Crop Crasher is 3 mana for a 3/2 Minotaur Warrior with haste. You may exert the Crasher as it attacks. When you do, target creature can't block this turn. An exerted creature won't untap during your next untap step. Personally, I think this is the quintessential exert creature. You give up something later for a larger threat now, weighing the options, picking your spot. Another mechanic I think will be fantastic in limited play and possibly constructed, given the awesome dragon we saw last week. Who knows, there could be a lot going on here. I love the decision-making involved. The rewards for cycling begin. Flameblade Adept is 1 red mana for a 1/2 Jackal Warrior with Menace. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, the Adept gets +1/+0 until end of turn. First things first, Jackals are awesome. I want Jackal Tribal so hard. Beyond that, this is strong. It's pretty decent in a Madness Shell if you can reliably trigger it, which ends up being the only real issue, but in limited or maybe some kind of cycle strategy it'll perform just fine. Pairing it with something like Cathartic Reunion is especially delicious since it triggers whenever you discard a card. That's just value. It's really not bad. It's not bad at all. Hold on to your butts. Hazoret the Fervent is 4 mana for a 5/4 legendary creature god with indestructible and haste. Hazoret can't attack or block unless you have 1 or fewer cards in your hand. You can also pay 3 mana and discard a card to have Hazoret deal 2 damage to each opponent. Not only that, but Hazoret is also an invocation. Boom, both arts right there. Now, let's get this out of the way. Clearly, Madness is getting a crazy buff in this set. You can already tell based on Hazoret alone. This god is insane for a top-end Madness or aggro strategy. Even if you can't actively discard anything, who cares? You're playing red, maybe black, and you're not going to have a lot of cards in hand anyways. Worst case scenario, you can spend mana and shock your opponent in order to attack with the Juggernaut. The ability isn't great for the cost. It has uses. I get that it's not amazing, but I don't want you getting distracted by it thinking this god isn't good simply because the ability is expensive. The rest of the card is baller and fits really well into a lot of Madness Shells. Do not let that cost deter you. 4 mana for a 5/4 with haste and indestructible, and a pretty easy attack or block trigger. This is very good. Definitely playable. Also, oh yeah, the Gundam Wolf. Someone make this happen. Hellbent has to be a thing, people. Let's do this. Limits of Solidarity is 4 mana for a sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. It also has cycling, costing 2 mana. This is basically what I'd expect out of the Act of Treason card in the set that utilizes a mechanic on theme. We've seen iterations of the steal ability for blocks and blocks and blocks now, and it's not all that exciting anymore, but with cycling, it has additional value. If you don't need to grab something of your opponent's, or you aren't in the best position to, or you don't have the mana, cycling for generic mana has a ton of value. Not surprised it's an uncommon, another solid, limited playable. Don't underestimate the power of flexibility. We're real deep into -1/-1 counters now. Crocodile of the Crossing is 4 mana for a 5/4 Crocodile with haste. When it enters the battlefield, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature you control. 4 mana for a 5/4 is fantastic, but the -1/-1 does sting a bit. Even if you put it on the Croc, though, you still have a 4/3 with haste for 4 mana. That really isn't terrible. Green creatures with haste should always be paid attention to, and I think the Croc is going to have some serious limited power. Plus, I mean, it's a giant crocodile. Tribal Croc's totally a thing, am I right? And boom, that's going to do it for this Amonkhet preview video. Remember, we have a full 2 weeks of previews, so there's a lot to go. What are you all thinking right now? Any of these cards stick out to you? How do you feel about the new mechanics, Exert, Embalm, the return of cycling? How about the crazy new Aftermath split cards? Do you like the design? Think it's offensive to everything that lives? What about the new gods? Do you think this is a good start? Look, I need to know what you're thinking because I'm all alone here, okay? So just please tell me how you feel. I need to know. Also, be sure to stay tuned to the channel for all the Amonkhet spoiler information you could ever need. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. This video was brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com. If you're already impressed with Amonkhet or you want to make sure you grab pre-orders as quickly as possible, you can get your boxes ordered right now on TCG Player for only $92 each. That's cheaper than a lot of other stores, so if you don't have a local game store, or yours charges way too much, give TCG Player a try. Cheap, efficient, just click the link on the screen, helps the channel, win-win, enjoy.